I'll just get through. Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Oh, there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our federal and state emergency declaration from Minnesota directed to residents to stay at home and guidance about limiting person-to-person contact due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. This meeting of the Lyle School Board is being conducted in accordance with Minnesota statutes 13D.021. Meetings by telephone or other electronic means. Due to the health pandemic, the school board determined it is not feasible for the public to attend this meeting at the regular meeting location due to the health pandemic. Persons may monitor this meeting from a remote location by Zoom. Information on joining the meeting can be found on the school website. Public comments prior to the meeting can be made by contacting the superintendent or the board chair by email. This meeting is being recorded. Access to the recording will be available on the school district's website as soon as reasonably possible. Approval of agenda changes and additions. If there's no changes or additions, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Dave?
Second.
Chad? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Approval of the minutes. Consider the approval of the minutes of school board meeting from December 16th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Krista, is there a second?
Second.
Was that Dave?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Chad.
Chad? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
B, consider the approval of the minutes of the reorganization school board meeting from January 13th, 2021.
I'll make a motion.
Krista,
Sure.
second?
I'll second.
Dave? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Item 5, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion to approve it.
Krista.
I'll second.
So Heather, that was Krista and Dave. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Carrie.
Community reports, highlights and recognitions.
All right, so there's two groups of people that I wanted to recognize tonight. Our athletic directors, the coaches, the players, and I think a good number of the parents who've been working on setting up our games, making sure they go off, our basketball games. The changes to the guidelines were quite different from the fall during volleyball and football. And so it hasn't been easy, and I appreciate their work towards that. The other group is this week we've been celebrating Paraprofessionals Week, and I wanted to recognize each of them in the minutes for their absolute amazing devotion, passion, love for kids, their work ethic. We are very fortunate here in Lyle to have some of the best in the business, and I'm just going to name them by Brianne Lundmark, Carter Guthmiller, Jordan Brown, Alex Schumacher, Jackie Gaines, Crystal Hansen, and Laurie Hernandez. It is what they do for our district is tremendous, and it definitely does not go unnoticed by the staff and the students, and I know the parents as well. So thank you for everything they do for our district.
I'd also like to add in Alex Luna. He's our EL here, and he's also our.
You're right. Sorry about that, Alex. Heather, would you be able to add his name to the list, to the minutes?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Public comment. Jamie, do you have anything for public comments?
I don't. Representative Mueller, do you want to introduce yourself? Sorry, I unmuted you while you muted. Sorry.
No
There you go.
problem. We've been doing almost all of our meetings, by Zoom, so it's been kind of crazy. Chair and school board, thank you so much for, I know my legislative assistant kind of reached out to, I don't know who it was, but thank you, Heather, for getting back so quickly. If you don't know who I am Representative Patricia Mueller. I was just recently elected this past November to be your representative in St. Paul. I am well, you're never a former teacher, but I am a teacher, a public school teacher for the last 17 years. As a matter of fact, I actually left. I was in the classroom all the way to December 23rd and then went straight into this job. And so I am so passionate about education and making sure that you as a local school board have the flexibility and the control that you need to make sure to provide the education that fits for the kids that you guys teach. I'm really excited to be a part of this journey together. And I want you to know that during my campaign, it was vital that I talked about transparency. And I want you to know that at any point, at any time, it is never a bother for you to email me, call me, whatever you need to do to get a hold of me. If you need something, or if you have something special that happened and you want it recognized, I would love to recognize you on the House floor. However way I can can help you or assist you in any way, I would really appreciate to do that. I'd really appreciate doing that. So if you have any questions for me or at all, I have the whole hour blocked off, so I'm I'm available for the next hour.
Well, I just want to thank you for joining us tonight. I was really excited when I got your email today, and I think it's great that you want to be a part of our meetings, and we just really appreciate having you with us.
Thank you.
I echo that. It's great to meet you.
Awesome.
Anything else, Jamie, for public comments?
That is it.
Moving on to school board committee updates. Negotiations. Does anyone have any updates for committee?
No.
That's probably.
I like that you look at me.
Since we only started them last week, we probably haven't done much.
I have to look back to what committee's on.
Well, your select board update, Carl Fair.
We did have a little legacy business. Some of the legacy members kind of talked a little bit about recognizing our staff and wanting to move forward with doing something for that staff, building wide for the whole staff, probably at the end of the year. So that's something that we can look forward to down the road. Otherwise, that's all I have. Anything else? All right. Bradley, moving on, financial report.
All right, let me share my screen here and we'll go through and look at some numbers for you. All right, so should be able to see now on your screen our monthly financial report here. And looking at our revenues year over year, We're ahead on where we were the last couple years. Biggest change is additional revenue from our operating referendum is there for us this year for the first time. So that's helping boost our revenues on both the local revenues line, which includes our levies, and the state revenues line. So well, actually the state revenues is showing down, but it would be lower if not for those additional dollars in there. And if you look over at our percentages, we're tracking at 35.63% of our budget, which is pretty close to where we were the last couple of years. So like to think, December 31st is halfway through our fiscal year, so we'd be closer to 50%, but it's just not really how it works from a timing perspective. So our state aids are to be 90% paid by June 30th. So, by December is roughly 45%. And that's, not always how it exactly comes out. So, but the money's coming in and that's what's important. So we'll keep that going. Looking at our expenditures by program and by object, again, looking at those percentages, we're actually tracking a little bit underneath our budget, which is great, a great problem to have from a finance perspective. One of the primary reasons for that is that we haven't had as many hours for some of our staff. So it's always a double-edged sword there. So those dollars that we don't pay out in wages now are dollars that are available to pay out in wages in the future, possibly, or curriculum or whatever else we find that we need in whatever challenges the world throws us. So in the one that jumps off the page for me is the capital expenditures, and we'll either next month or the month after, we'll be looking at a revised budget to pick up some of those things. In particular, with the coronavirus relief funds grants, we did do some capital work that we certainly didn't know we were going to do back in May when I was putting the original budget together. So we've done all the things that we planned and a few things that we hadn't planned, like the attachments to the HVAC system that we got done this fall. So some drinking fountains as well were things that weren't planned at the beginning of the year. Going on to our next page, we've got our funds other than the general fund. So our food service fund, yeah, I've said it before, I'll keep saying it. It's a rough year for food service. Yeah, we just don't have as many kids in the building to eat meals. So you'll continue to see those revenue numbers for food service lagging behind what was budgeted. When I do present the revised budget, you'll see that's going to be a big shift down from the adopted budget to the revised budget. So then also community services, not a lot going on there from a revenue standpoint. We're still running the preschool program. The other thing we've got going in there that goes in the community services fund is our Cubs Club program is a community services program. So that one's new to us this year. We're paying a lot of staff out of that fund for that time, and we'll be able to apply some of our federal grant funding also in that fund. So that's about all that's going on in community services right now. Looking at our debt service fund, we've made our debt service payment for the winter months. So you can see down on the expenditures, we are within 2 cents of our adopted budget. So that's all done, tied up, neat and tidy. We'll continue to get some more property tax revenue over the course of the spring, and also some more state aid as we come down the line here. So, but that'll close up nice and neat. Any questions on any of those numbers? All right, I'll flip over to our treasurer's report here. I'll zoom in a little bit. Cash is actually going fairly well lately. December is a month where we get some property tax payments in, so that is definitely helpful from a cash standpoint. We also have been able to, we were asked to claim our coronavirus relief funds dollars early. So we paid out the last few things in December, but we had all that money in place. With a lot of federal grants, you pay for it first and then ask for reimbursement later. So it was just a little bit of a different style. So we were able to finish that HVAC project and not have that have a negative impact on our cash. So was a good month for us. I've been able to kind of slide a few dollars here and there over into our Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund, and that allows us to earn just a little bit of interest. The rates are really terrible right now, but we will take all of the pennies, nickels, and dimes that we can get off of that money. So better to get 0.04%, which is what we're getting right now, than the 0.0% that we would be getting in our checking account. So I'll continue to try to take advantage of whatever interest I can get. Any questions on cash? All right, I'll slide over to payments here. And just looking for the interesting ones here. Nelson Auto Center, that's not Carrie Nelson. That is the dealership that sold us our latest van. So we were able to get that through a cooperative purchasing contract. That 32,724.10 there does include tax, title, and license. One of the few sales taxes that we still have to pay is on vehicles. So Representative Mueller, if you wanted to do something for us, you can get rid of that sales tax on vehicles for us exempt governments. And then don't worry about it. There's no chance they'll never take it, but our sales tax laws are all over the place for us, but that's when we have to pay. Predictive technologies here for $40,000. That is the HVAC system improvements that I discussed. Backing up a couple lines there for Hardy Mechanical, that's the filling stations for our water fountains. See, Riverland Community College, that is dollars for our concurrent enrollment programs through carpentry is the big thing there. So there's a flat amount for being in the course, and then a small amount per student. Let's see. And then last but not least, $452,000. That is our debt service payment that you heard me reference before. So that one this time of year is principal and interest. So that is the biggest disbursement you will see us pay over the course of a year. Any questions or?
Is there a motion to approve the financial report and payment of the district bills? Is there a second?
You can second it.
I'm gonna give that to Renee.
Sounds great.
Yep. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carrie, who was first and second? I didn't hear it.
So it was Dave and then Renee.
Okay, thank you.
Reports and presentations. Item A, Paul Jenkins and Mike Walrick. proposal for a Lyle track team.
Okay. Well, can you hear me okay? I haven't talked through this headset much before, so give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, good. All right. So I was contacted by a few of the parents from the Lyle School District, and they seemed like they were very interested in having a trap shooting team or a clay target team. Uh, I am currently the coach their head coach at Southland School. I was this last fall was my first year. I think it went really well, very well received. We've had a team at our school since I believe we're in our 8th season now. So we're pretty well established, and I guess I just wanted to talk to you guys about possibly starting up a team at Lyle, and I would be willing to volunteer my time to get that rolling. So I guess maybe Paul might have something to say. If he does, feel free to chime in. Or I'm sorry, I'm not real familiar with Zooms. Just raise your hand or something if you want to chime in. There's a hand raising button down towards the bottom of the participant list, I think. So I've got some the costs that are associated with it. I have the handbook that I provide to athletes to kind of tell them, what's expected of them, what the score, kind of how it's scored. And I have also got, anybody that's not familiar with how the sport of trap shooting works, I've got a PowerPoint that I've had put together to teach the kids. And they don't always understand everything, but over time, I'm hoping they get bits and pieces of it, so I can kind of show you what some of the lessons, so to speak, are that I try to teach. And I guess we go through. I mean, our priorities are safety is first and foremost. Having fun is number 2, and marksmanship is 3. So to date, there hasn't been any injuries in the sport of trapper skeet shooting or the clay target league in the entire United States yet. So we take safety very seriously for obvious reasons. So, and that includes, I mean, there hasn't even been anybody that sprained an ankle walking around. We kind of joke amongst other people that that's what's going to happen, is somebody's going to trip and fall down the steps coming out of the building or something sometime. So I guess whatever you'd like to see me present, I would be more than willing to. If you want to kind of go through the handbook, what's expected of the athletes, or what I expect of the athletes, the PowerPoint, what I teach them, and I can kind of run through what it costs to have a team. So I guess I'm kind of open here. I'm just here to propose, a team for your school. So, and I should say too, this isn't necessarily Minnesota State High School League affiliated league. This is it's the USA Clay Target League. The only thing that the Minnesota State High School League has to do with this is the state tournament at the end of the year. Usually this year with COVID, it's going to be a little bit different, but typically there's a tournament up in Alexandria. And if you shoot and you qualify for the state tournament at that, they call it the Minnesota Championship Tournament. If you qualify there, then you go to the Minnesota State High School League hosted tournament after that. So all the insurance is covered through the Clay Target League, and also we shoot at the Austin Conservation Club. So I guess I've kind of gave you an overview, and I can answer some questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I don't know, it looks like about shooting. So is that something that happens every day? Do they have to get to the shooting range on their own?
Okay,
Did you hear all those questions?
I have a hard time with her hearing her out. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Mike's doing a fantastic job, but I'm Paul Jenkins. I'm going to be assisting him, and I can answer a couple questions also. Mike has some trouble with them, so but I may have trouble hearing you.
Okay, so one of the questions was, do they practice every day?
Say that again?
Do they practice every day?
No.
How
They,
often?
Mike, I think Mike is planning on shooting on Wednesdays, and you shoot once a week, and you shoot 2 rounds per night, and there is an option for another night for practice, but basically it depends on how much the kids want to shoot. They can shoot once or they can shoot twice a week.
Okay, and then another one was about equipment. Are the students required to provide their own equipment? Is there some that would be available?
We do have some equipment available. We have gun safes at the Conservation Club. I have personal guns that I let the kids use if they don't have equipment of their own. Most kids are going to want to shoot their own equipment, but if they can't afford it or it's not available to them, then we will provide it for them.
Okay, and then the third question from her was about transportation. Are the students required to transport themselves to the range?
Absolutely. It's done both ways. Glenville Emmons also shoots in Austin, as does Northwood. Both of those have buses they bring up. Now, there's other schools like Southland where the parents are responsible for getting the kids to the shooting range. A lot of it will depend on independent parents and schools. The schools can set this league up pretty much the way they want it. You know, every school is different. I've been involved with probably 20 different schools, and everyone has their own little niches and requirements and what they want to pay for, what they don't want to pay for. So it depends on how plush you are in your economic situation, how many parents you have involved. There's a lot of different things that can be done the way you want it to be done. We will work with you. You will give us the guidelines we must follow. Mike, are you I'm not hearing you. Are you still with us?
We can't hear you, Mike.
Yeah, I think he lost his speaker or something. So I'll try to answer.
Okay, and then there's a couple questions also that came through the chat. One was there is a school board member who would be very interested in seeing the PowerPoint and handbook. So I don't know if that's something that could be, yeah, if it could be sent to the school and then we get it to the school board, or if the PowerPoint needs to be presented. And then the other question was, do students go through gun safety?
I'm actually a certified DNR safety trainer, so I can provide all the training they need. I have a lot of volunteers that'll also give the firearm safety classes, so we're covered there. I'm also certified with the NRA for shotgun, rifle, several sports. Mike's certified through the state. We have a lot of people that have put in a lot of hours to get ready for coaching these teams. So we're pretty well covered no matter what happens. I talked to the state of Minnesota, the league itself. If you guys are uncomfortable at all with our answers, they are more than happy to come down and give a presentation to whoever would like to see it. They have virtual ones this year so that you can watch them online. They can make an in-person presentation. Again, it's what would you like to do?
Okay, and then what grades is this for?
Minimum grade is 6th all the way through 12th. You have to be have firearm safety. Or the league certified firearm safety. There's 2 different programs you can go through. I always recommend to go ahead with the DNR firearm safety because then it covers hunting and fishing and everything else. And The league-sponsored one only covers trap shooting.
And there is some tips in there. Sorry, I'm back now, so hopefully you can hear me. The way Southland does it is we require them to be in at least 7th grade and have to be 12 years old. You have to be 12 years old to take either training course. So we've only have one athlete in Southland that hasn't taken the firearms safety through the DNR, and I ran him through it's called a SAFE course that we did, and it's actually, I took it myself because I won, well, obviously because I had to get certified in it, but I found it pretty informational and good for myself too. So,
Okay.
Well,
And then,
yeah.
The DNR has changed the rules a little bit. You can now take your firearm safety when you're 11 years old, and it will kick in when you're 12. That way you're prepared for the season. So the DNR is really working well with this high school league to provide every opportunity they can. The league, Mike's rules will take precedent over the league rules in this case. The league actually allows 6th graders, but Mike requires them to be in 7th, so that's what we'll do.
about what's the season for this?
It begins, it's an 8-week long season. It begins about mid-March, I believe the 2nd week of March, and it can go like postseason all the way through early June usually, once a week. The first 2 weeks are kind of, first night I call it safety night. We go through a lot of safety stuff. We still shoot, but I do a lot of talking about rules and sort of the logistics on how it's going to be. And then we have a practice night. Week 2 is also a practice night. Week 3 is called a reserve week. So let's say that basically we record our scores, we keep it kind of on a spreadsheet, and say we've got on our Wednesday night, when it's time to shoot, we've got tornadoes, lightning, something where we can't be out there, we will use that reserve score week. And I really hate using them because it's only the third session that they've had, so usually their scores are not the greatest, but it's kind of our reserve week. And then we have 5 competition weeks after that, and they're consecutive weeks. Now this year they're running it a little bit different through the state because of COVID and all that. They're calling it a modified season. Technically, you can show up the first night, shoot all your rounds, and be done for the season. But I don't like that because the kids just don't learn. They don't improve. They're just there banging away, and it's just not. It's not what I like to show them. So. But if they wanted to show the screen, I think the host has to do it. I can kind of run through some of the numbers of what it would cost to have a team, or I can just list off to either way.
You have hosting rights now.
Okay, let me share my screen. I'm going to share my entire screen.
This is pretty good. I'm familiar with Zoom.
Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see me?
Yes.
Yep. Looks
Okay.
good.
Okay, so for each round, the gun club charges us, or the conservation club charges us $4 per round, and we shoot 2 rounds of targets of 25 each. Ammunition is something that usually we start our own, like the way Southland does it. We've got our own checkbook, and we put all our entry fees into it, and then we just take out of there. We're responsible for buying the ammunition, so it's actually in 2 days we can order it factory direct. Now we've only got 2 days left, so that probably won't work for there, but we'll come up with something else. There's a $35 fee to the USA Clay Target League that gives each athlete a t-shirt, and it covers the insurance for the year. So if you don't like it, I just put that league fee in the first column here. 54. Basically, the numbers that I'm figuring on for the Sultan team this year is $187 per athlete is what it costs. Now, that doesn't include travel costs. We pay for, everybody's responsible for their own travel costs. We do apply for a grant usually from Freeborn Mauer Co-op to rent a bus or a van to get up to Alexandria for the state shoot, but that probably isn't going to happen this year. Extra practice. I mean, we always seem like if a kid just isn't getting something or he's struggling with something, I mean, we have extra shells on hand and we might pay for an extra round or two to sit there and try to get them straightened out or at least get them going in the right direction. Coach's expense, it seems like I'm always just paying for random stuff and I don't expect reimbursement for any of that, but it's, like printing stuff off or pens or pencils. I usually keep a extra earplugs in my vehicle just in case kids don't have them or whatever. The championship tournament, I think there's a separate entry fee for that. I haven't made it that far because we haven't had one due to COVID. So I think that's another $30 or $40 a piece. So that's kind of the breakdown on the costs of it. We also like to do a fun night actually, and that would be afterwards. And that's when we try to do the awards. We invite, school board members, teachers, parents to come out and just give it a try and see what we're doing. It's usually pretty fun. We'll play some. We've got some different games like Annie Oakley and protection and stuff that we shoot, and the kids usually like it. And I don't know, I usually throw in some ice cream cones or something, or some Dairy Queen gift certificates or something for the kids, just to make it fun for them. Any questions on costs?
What's the size of the number of athletes?
It anywhere from 2 or 3 to we've got about 30 on Sultan's team. Well, 20. There's 20, but we also shoot skeet, and skeet is a completely different sport. It's kind of hard to explain just over a meeting or whatever, but in trap, your targets fly away from you. In skeet, they fly crossways generally, and it's played on a different field. There's different techniques. It's quite a bit different. Still shooting and stuff, but for new kids, I strongly suggest that they don't do skeet right away. I mean, they'll try it, and I will absolutely. And this year, I think I've got 15 or 17 kids shooting skeet for Southland because I brought them over there and I made it fun for them. And I was kind of joking around with them, challenging them, made it a little contest. And boy, they weren't going to let me make fools out of them. So they all went out for skeet this year. So they're going to show me, and I hope they do. So some other things like the handbook. For as far as safety is concerned, we have a 2 strikes you're out policy. Any safety infraction whatsoever, you are sent out or you're sent home for the day. That day, you're sent off the range. No questions asked. You get a 0. If it's competition week, you get a 0 for that week. If it happens again in any following weeks or the rest of the year, you're off the team. No, there's no leniency with it. So, and knock on wood, I've been volunteering for a few years before I became the Southlands head coach, and we've never had a safety infraction yet. So we make it very clear that safety is paramount. So what we kind of do is like some of the funding stuff, we charge, like the school has a school activity fee. And that's one thing I was going to suggest too, is I would really like to see this be a school activity. not a club, because then kids can letter in it. And this is a great sport for kids that might not otherwise be athletic. They can come out and they have to shoot a 20 average, which if they do the work, they can do it. I think I had 5 kids on the Southland team letter this year, one 9th grader. But that 9th grader he goes out and shoots on Tuesday evenings on his own and Sunday mornings on his own too. So he puts the time in. It also just happens to be my son, but so that's beside it. I drag him along with me all the time because I'm out there generally on Tuesday nights and Sunday mornings, because that's when I get to shoot for fun. So I'm out there too, and I encourage the kids to come out and shoot with me. I help them. I don't know. It seems like I'm always throwing them a few extra targets here and there and some shells if they're struggling with something, and they think it's fun to shoot with their coach out of school, I guess, or out of the school function. So I guess so the school has their athletic fee. We charge an additional $25 fee for our kids, and that goes into our account, like our checkbook, and that just pays for any miscellaneous costs. We're very fortunate. We've got the Southland Sportsman's Club that gives us a $1,500 donation each year, and that essentially pays for our ammunition for the year. So we're forever grateful of that. I go around and do some fundraising on my own. I usually hit up the fire department's relief association or their gambling money. And this year we are fully funded, I believe, with a budget of about $5,500. So that's the level that we've made it to. We've grown so much. We actually do a second practice night in Leroy, and we practice with the Leroy clay target team. And it's good for the kids. They get to shoot at different ranges, meet different people, different scenarios. So it's just something that we do. It's great. The kids like it. I don't make it mandatory. If they want to come, they get a night of free shooting. So it works pretty good. I guess other than I've got that PowerPoint I can run through and we can kind of talk about some of the strategies. I don't know if we have to go into that, but I guess any more questions or comments or concerns? Or Paul, do you have anything that you want to add?
Well, I want to say that I agree with Mike. The activity part with the lettering is just huge to the kids. If you can get it through the school as an activity, that is huge. When we first started the Austin team, that was what some of the kids were most excited about. They couldn't play football, they couldn't do track, but they could come out and try to letter. They finally had a sport where they could letter. So that is always huge with the kids. And one other thing I want to say, I don't know if Mike touched on, is there's two leagues. There's two seasons. There's a spring season and there's also a fall season. So that Mike, do you shoot the fall?
We did fall this year because we could not have a spring season because we got shut down in the spring. So I had to go do this with the Southland School Board to get track on the agenda or on the sports activity list for fall. I don't know if I'm going to do it again next fall, just because then I have to come up with all the money to do it. And, spring is the true season, so to speak. Anyway, fall is kind of an extracurricular. The kids like it. They come and do it, but football's big. Other sports sort of get in the way of my trap season. So it's great. Wednesdays, I usually take the afternoon off work, off my regular job as a river biologist. I take the afternoon off. I'm out there setting up at about 2:00. I have the first group of kids come out, as soon as they can get there right from school. Usually it's the I don't know what you'd call them, maybe like the non-athletes or the non-baseball players, and then the baseball players and all the sports kids. They usually come 5:30, 6 o'clock. So it's 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening by the time we get out of there. And then the late kids, since they're late, I always joke with them. They have to help me restock the throwing machines and restock everything, pick up garbage, dump garbage cans, all that. So the kids that show up early and get it done, they get out of it. So, but it teaches them, there's responsibility around there. I mean, there's, it's not just showing up and having fun. There's a lot to it behind the scenes, even, just maintaining the machines. We might have machines broke from time. We might have to switch it up and switch to a different machine. So there's a lot of different things that can go on, I guess.
That sounds awesome. Thank you, Mike, and both of you for sharing. Heather, would you be able to maybe put your email in the chat? And Mike, if you want to send anything to Heather's email, then we can get it to the school board. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. And I don't know, do you want to see that presentation that I have? That I kind of run through some of the lessons, or maybe I'm taking up too much time?
I think
You've all got things.
Yeah, maybe a later time for that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm actually giving this presentation from South Padre Island. So I'm down in South Texas for a while.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Like I say, Heather, I'll send the PowerPoints to Heather, and
That'd be great.
I'm gonna jot that down quick, and I'll send those to her, and just kind of go from there.
All right, thank you, Mike. Amy, you're up.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Before I start, if there's any questions that you guys have as a board, feel free to send those to either Heather or myself, and we'll get the answers to you guys. And then I will work with Bill to just maybe put something together, and then we can decide at the February board meeting for that. So, all right.
Can I inject one thing? We do have deadlines we have to meet for registration, for team registration with the state. And there is a lot of involved in getting ready for the first season as far as firearm safety, getting the kids registered, getting the team registered. So the faster we can get this done, the better off we will be. So we can't drag it out too long, or we'll miss the season.
Paul, what is that deadline?
Well, the deadline for team registration is March.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But there's a lot of preparation ahead of time. So if we could get it even sooner than that, so I can get the kids firearm safety and everything else, plus money to line up.
Our next board meeting is February 17th. Is that
It'll be
enough?
close, but we'll get her done one way or another if we get approved.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.
Hey, Jamie,
Yes.
can you make sure everybody's muted? We're getting some weird feedback here.
Yes. I think that was one of their Zoom accounts that was making that noise, because I was hearing that too. Is it better now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. A couple of things to highlight tonight from my end. I know a while back I mentioned too that I applied for an EPA grant to possibly purchase a bus in the future. This was a nationwide, and Bradley and I found out that out of 343, we were 279 on the wait list. So we're not anticipating getting the opportunity this year for that. Also, last month, I mentioned that we were doing a radon testing at the building, and that's always there's always that level of concern of what happens if the number gets high, then what? The threshold that I was told is 4.0, and we put radon test in, I believe, every room in the building, including offices, closets, etc., classrooms. Every one of them was under 2. So radon tests came back exceptional. So he did say that is something we probably want to do every 5 years. So it'll be something that we will look at in around 2025, 2026. I also want to share nothing regarding the State High School League COVID fee that they are putting out to the school districts. Both Kingsland and Elbert Lee school districts have voted. Their boards have given through a vote to their superintendent not to make that payment. I don't think that's needed at this point, but I just wanted to share that they did go through board resolution on that. Today, I met with the SMEC calendar team, and we looked at trying to get as many as similar as we can. We will be meeting later on next month, and I'll be working with our leadership team on some questions that I have regarding some possible dates for future this is next school year. Brian Hagan is not on here, but he is the lead in our DC trip, and that's for juniors and seniors again, every other year. This April is the scheduled date, April 7th through the 14th, I believe. I don't know the exact number offhand, but I think there's around 23 students that signed up. At this point, the last time Brian and I spoke, the lady through the organization or the company that does it still was a go. I have heard through my connections that several things in DC are opening up, such as Arlington Cemetery, some of the Smithsonian's places, some of the, obviously that was before January 6th and what happened out there. So I don't know if things have been locked up a little bit more again. I'm not sure, but that is what it is. What we have been told is that we will, in late February, very early March, we will hear from the company if it's a no or go announcement from them. Again, if it is a no-go, anything that the parents and families have paid upfront, any deposits will be returned. If it is anything through fundraising, that will not, then we will get that back as a school and go back to that in those accounts. If that is, it's a tough one. If Bradley and I have had multiple conversations, as well as Brian, the possibility if we do not end up going, then what? It means less to the juniors, but it does mean something to the seniors, and that is a tough one. This was something that the board approved several years ago, that to do away with any other trip and wanted to do this one. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and now, so that'll be something that, I'd love to hear input, from the board on that. At this point, I don't anticipate, if we can't go to DC, I don't anticipate going to anything further, just because what will be available. And I believe, and Brian, and I know Brian agrees with that as well. But we will have obviously some funds, and maybe we can get creative and still provide something for our seniors. Speaking of that, this is the last thing. Oh, two more things. Next month, the end of the quarter or semester ends this week. And so next week, Heather and I will be working to go through where all of our students are credit-wise. We met as a SMEC group to discuss that, what options we have. We are getting some COVID funds, additional federal funds. And so where that money is going to be used is really going to be for, they have stated at the state level and also the feds that they really want that towards credit recovery, mental health, how we can help our students who struggled during this past school year. And so we'll be looking at how we can possibly do some summer programming, some credit recovery for our students. And then also the younger kids, from K through 8. At this point, we're all at the idea stage. We are looking how the SMEC Academy can be run this year to help those students. How can we do stuff in our individual buildings? How will that work with transportation, all that stuff? So that is going to be something that's a huge part of where this money is going to be. We're tracking that to be in that area. The last thing goes back to travel. Our nurse, Barb, and Corey and I have been working with MDH and specifically the Moore County Health. We sent, based on their recommendations, and I've stated this in last month, is that we are going to stick to the 14-day quarantine plan when a student gets sick or is a close contact. One of the things that we've been working with, especially now spring is coming with families, with spring trips, both Moore County Health and Minnesota Department of Health is advocating, their guidelines is also that if a family, a student, a staff member, anyone travels outside of the state of Minnesota, that they are quarantined for 14 days before they return to school. Now, I sent that email to the staff today, and I knew that I would get some questions, and we live right on the border. What does that mean? If I go down to Mason City to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings, that means I can't come back to school. I've been quarantined enough, so I want to come back. And no, what Corey and I and Barb, we discussed, and based on the guidelines is that if anyone traveling into Iowa, and that's going to be the predominant place that people will leave, that if it's going for the day, shopping, to eat, to see friends, family, they would not have to quarantine. But if it is overnight, which means they're probably staying in a hotel, they're possibly flying somewhere, taking a bus, that is where the 14-day quarantine would take place. I know this is a controversial topic. Families want to get out of this area, over a longer weekend. But again, when we look at the safety of our students, safety of our staff, this is something that we can't take lightly. And so I'm open to thoughts from the board on this. But the idea again is if they're traveling overnight, especially traveling to Texas, Florida, wherever they are in a plane. I know if they're going overseas or international flights, they have to be tested. And so that is the stance that we have taken. A lot of schools in the area are also following this area. We've talked to other local schools, nurses, and they are also following suit on this. So if this is the direction we're headed, if I get your blessing tonight, we will communicate this to our families as early as sometime this week so that they can prepare. Any questions on that? That's my last thing tonight to speak about.
All right, thank you, Jamie.
Okay. Corey?
All right, sorry guys, I have a list. It's been a busy month, busy couple weeks. Earlier this month, maybe it was this week, maybe it was last week. It's time slipping by, I don't even know what day it is. But one of our parents in our building, she is a volunteer with a group called Wellness in the Woods. And it is mental health awareness and support. And they offer this free of charge or free for anyone. And she gave a presentation to myself and Jamie and John Lorenz, our school social worker. And if you go on our school website now and you scroll down on the main page, there is a hotline and it's called a warm line. And it's available from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m. for anyone, every day of the year. And if a student is at home and it's 2 or 3 in the morning, because let's face it, a lot of our students are staying up that late, and they're just in a really dark place, or they're feeling very lonely, or they're struggling and not doing well, they can call that phone number and there will be someone there to help support them. So kind of like a helpline. But also if you click on that image on our webpage, it will take you to the Wellness in the Woods webpage, and they have some free virtual, like almost like Zoom classes where they teach you how to make, one session is they teach you how to make a different craft every day. The craft might be like how to make your own like weighted, using a sock with a weighted thing to wrap around your neck, or some essential oil type things where to help give you some aromatherapy. They have a shopping list. Some things are free, they're at home, things you have around the house. They really try to keep the budget down on these things. And then later in the day, they also have a free call that anyone can join. And it's almost like, I kind of looked at it as almost like group therapy, to be honest. So it's right there on our webpage, and then parents can also access it. It's like the second item on the parent tab of our webpage. We sent it home with all, in the elementary newsletter, it went home. And so we're making this available to our students and our families. So it's there for anyone. So it's even adults, if parents are struggling, that battle with, you're at home with your kids constantly, and let's face it, it gets to be a lot. Anyone can reach out to this program. So
Is that, because I happened to see it today,
awesome.
and I clicked on it, and it took me to like a Zoom screen. I clicked on it, because I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
But, is that information going out to our middle school, high schoolers?
It will, yes, we have to get it out. We didn't want to overwhelm them today because they came in
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
first time since basically October. So it is something we're going to show them that it's there,
Okay.
not necessarily send home the flyer to them because they are a little bit more tech savvy than our elementary, so they can get in more easily, and just to know that number. It was really important to have that main number for the warm line right there on our home screen. So I was working with Krista, our webpage designer, and where we wanted it, it wasn't going to work, but she made it look amazing. So kudos goes to, I think her last name is pronounced Mashka. So Krista Mashka really helped get it up there. So
That's awesome.
yes, and our parent who helps give this presentation, she is also a volunteer. And the great thing about their volunteers is that their volunteers have gone through some event in their own life. So they're able to be more empathetic because they understand. So it's not necessarily a licensed therapist, but it's someone who's overcome and can relate. Yeah, it's really, we're excited about it.
Great resource. Good.
Also, let's see, I know Jamie touched on Para Week, so I won't go into that anymore. Some state testing updates, because it appears to be the most appropriate time to test. And as of right now, NCA testing is still on. So there is some information coming out. I won't share a ton of it now, but as far as our school, we're up to date on where we need to be as far as registration, and gone in and put in the accommodations that we need. There was a big thing about it for parents opting out due to COVID reasons, and the state is pushing for districts to make that aware to parents that they have the choice. That was right in writing. So Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, because I sent it to him, because I couldn't believe it. But it was in writing that districts are encouraged to let families know that if they choose to opt out of MCA testing, put it down as COVID reasoning, and it will not count against the school district for data. So that's what they told us to say. Access testing is for our EL students. That begins, actually the window's open now, but the state extended it until April, which is so nice because our EL teacher has to go amongst many schools in the consortium to complete this. So we are beginning on February 8th. Well, I'm beginning February 8th. I'm going to test the middle school, and then she's going to take care of all of the elementary school. So we should be done we're hoping within 2 weeks. And then we're also the initial stages of getting registered for ACT testing. That has been finalized. So we are going to continue the late spring testing. So that's an update on testing. Any questions on those? Oh, good, because that's pretty much all the information I got for you. Today we welcomed back our middle school and high school students, and I just have to tell you, it was so much fun. I went around the building for, I don't know, I think 2.5 hours and just spent time with all the kids. I ended up ripping my pants, playing basketball, and my knee, don't worry. It's my knee. It was so much fun. We told the teachers, they went over reminding them of expectations for when they return next week. The mask mandate, they went over it. I also made an announcement about the importance of it. If the elementary can do it without problems, so can our middle school and high schoolers. The teachers really emphasized that there won't be exceptions for the mask. Like you have to wear your mask. And they went over their schedules, what the schedules are going to look like. We talked about that modified schedule in February, where that Monday we don't have school, so we're shifting. So we talked about that a little bit, keep everyone in. But it was a lot. And then we just told teachers, have fun, like just let them talk, have fun. They played Kahoot, they played games, they played board games, they didn't use cell phones. It was so much fun to see. We had our leadership team. I know Jamie mentioned this last time as well. Just putting the schedules together and working on getting this up and running. It was huge, and it took a lot of time, and a special huge thank you to Heather, because she has spent a lot of countless hours these last couple of days getting them organized, printed for 7 through 12, organized by group, 7A, 7B, 8A, 8B, making sure their locker codes were, or locker information was on there, because they hadn't had lockers up until now. So Heather did a ton of work, so thank you very much, Heather, on that. This one's huge, so I need you all to make sure you share this on social media and tell everyone you know. Yep, get ready to write this one. February 4th, next Thursday, is our preschool screening. So getting the word out to families. We do have a lot of families who have children. It's for ages 3 to 5. They do not need to be in preschool to do this. This isn't even something that you take, that you participate in the early childhood screening and then you automatically have to go to preschool. That's not it at all. It's an early intervention stage. They do a hearing, they do a vision, they do a lot of different manipulative games to basically check children's developmental abilities. And then we can, if needed, if something's lacking, we can make some early interventions to really help jumpstart them. And it's really important to have this done. So if you know of little children, please spread the word. Ours is February 4th. It is free. Just call the school. Or, Heather's email's in the chat. Sorry, Heather. I just complimented you, but now I'm giving you work. Let's see. We have the Eagle Bluff trip. Is just like Jamie talked about the DC trip. The Eagle Bluff trip is still on right now. It's in March. It's for our 8th graders. So we're really hoping that one also stays and is available. And then the last thing is, I'm very, very happy to announce this, because I know a lot of districts are canceling this. We are going to continue with our Valentine's Day celebration in our elementary. We are not taking that away from them. We are just modifying it. So parents are being asked, if you're sending Valentine's, make sure you have enough for everyone in your class, and bring them the week of the 8th, February 8th through the 11th, because then they can sit over our long weekend, and our Valentine's Day party will be on Tuesday, February 16th. Yep. And then, hand washing, and our nurse Barb sent out some information today about the protocols to follow, and I am not worried about our staff. I know they're going to follow everything, and I know a lot of parents have been really excited when they saw that come out in the newsletter. A few have reached out thanking us for not taking that away, because other school districts are, and this mama heart is sad for her own children. So
some of those little things just really, they mean a lot.
It really does.
It's a big difference.
It really does. I mean, how else are the 5th and 6th graders going to tell their crushes that they love them?
Right? I know, candy heart.
That's right. So that is all I have. If anyone has any questions at all. Okay.
Thank you, Corinne.
Yep.
Items for action and discussion. Consider approving to extend the FFCRA leave for all staff until March 31st, 2021.
What's the FFCRA?
What's that?
What's the FFCRA?
Oh, it is-
I can talk about this one for a little bit. So the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, FFCRA, established some leave provisions for employees of small employers or governments. So we got pulled into that. What it offers is 80 hours of paid leave for people that have either a quarantine or test positive for COVID, are seeking a results, or have had a closure of a school or a daycare for their kids. So that expired on December 31st. When they passed it back in I believe it was like April 4th or something. I think they really kind of thought December was way past what it would actually take. But so the last round of legislation did not actually officially extend it, but they threw some language in there that allowed us to extend it ourselves. We do get a small tax credit for those dollars that we pay out under this provision. But really, it's just kind of a good thing to do for our staff. You know, we've had people here and there go out in quarantine. So we've had some people that are out for a while. You know, recently we had a whole batch go out all together. So, you know, my recommendation here is, you know, let's extend it and 2 more months. And, you know, when that time comes, we can, I don't know if we'll be encouraged to extend it again, but that's where we're at for now, is to extend it through March 31st.
Do you have any questions on that?
Well, I know the city of Austin has done it for their employees too. And,
Okay.
you know, I was off for 21 days, I think, when I did it, so it's, when I had it, so it's. Make a motion to approve it.
I'm just gonna read the resolution quick here. Whereas the Families First Coronavirus Recovery Act required covered employers to provide up to 80 hours of paid emergency sick leave and up to 12 weeks of partially paid expanded family and medical leave. And whereas the requirement to provide said leave ended on December 31st, 2020. And whereas the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2021 provides the option for covered employers to extend the deadline for eligible employees to use any unused hours, days of leave defined in the FFCRA through March 31st, 2021. Be it resolved, Lyle Public School shall extend the deadline for eligible employees to use any unused hours or days of the FFCRA paid emergency sick leave and partially paid expanded family and medical leave, according to the guidelines outlined in the FFCRA through March 31st, 2021. Adopted the 27th day of January 2021, and we need a roll call vote. So Dave?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Krista?
Aye.
Is Carl with us? I thought he was, but I think he's gone now. Okay, and aye for me. So Heather, that passes 5-0 for the roll call vote.
Thank you, guys. I know the staff will appreciate that.
Item B, consider approving participation in the bread and bread products program for the 2021, 22, and 22, 23 school years.
What you're looking at here is just an agreement to participate in a joint purchasing arrangement. We, as Lyle Public School, have approximately 0 buying power for our bread needs, but this particular one is through the Southeast Service Cooperative and various other groups across the state working together to get the best prices we can get on bread and bread products. So.
Is there a motion to approve the bread program? Dave made that motion. Is there a second? Renee seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consider approving Carl Truckenmiller as the junior high boys basketball coach for the 2021 season. A motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Chad, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consider approving the first reading of District Policy 201, legal statutes of the school board.
Nothing terribly exciting about this one. It just clarifies your role legally as a school board, what you're responsible for. It's been in the MSA books since 1995. We've just never had one in ours. So.
Is there a motion to approve the first reading? Policy 201?
I'll make that motion. It looked good.
Is there a second? Renee seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
School board member comments.
Do we need to, I guess I have a question, going back to Jamie. Amy's, thoughts on the 14-day quarantine. Should we motion to give Jamie and Corey, the right to do what they see fit? That's where we have to.
Did you hear that, Jamie?
I think I did. I wouldn't need necessarily a motion for that. At this point, we wouldn't be able to do that in the board meeting now anyway, unless it's next month. But, basically I just wanted to hear your thoughts as a board on that. And was there any questions or concerns that you had about the 14-day? If there was, then we would take it under consideration and see what we can do to adjust anything. But we wouldn't necessarily need a motion for that. Is there any questions on that?
No, I just, you guys follow it more than we do, so I just can leave it in your hands on what you guys think is.
Okay.
I would think it's good to see what other districts are doing as well too. Are there any other school board comments? And I would just like to say a quick thank you to Dawn and the other bus drivers. I can't imagine trying to keep track of all of that, the scheduling. And Dawn does a really great job. I mean, I see a lot of the communication through the sports side of things. And she does a great job of setting up all of those trips and shuttles and runs, and she's really good about communicating that too with everybody. So I just want to thank all of the drivers and Dawn too.
Oh, she compartmentalizes.
I don't know. I don't
know.
know. It's a lot.
Today's schedule, next week's schedule.
Yeah.
She definitely has a gift to do that, because it takes a load off of my shoulders, and she does a fabulous job.
For sure.
And she's done that for years, so she's excellent at it.
All right. If there's no other comments, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make motion.
Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Chad, second is that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.